are the kindest intro I've ever had. So thank you, Tom, and thank you to Scott and James as well for just making the other room what it's become, which is, to be honest, one of the few places in Manchester I feel like I really want to come to every time I see poetry. So with all that done, I'm going to start by reading a few extracts of things that I've watched or read recently. Can you all hear me okay? The microphones don't get on with me at the best of times, so I'm going to avoid it where it's all possible. I'm just going to read a few extracts to begin with, and I'm going to move on to London Stone. The first extract is just for kind of to get my voice in the room, really. I don't know what you call it. I came across cultural artifact, maybe, best way to put it. There's a Hollywood actor called Gary Busey. I don't know how many of you know him. He starred in such classic films as Under Siege and Predator 2. And he gave an interview where he spoke about how much he missed on Hunter S. Thompson. And I don't make any kind of massive claims to this being any kind of in-depth poetic work. It's just complete bonkers. And he draws a fine line between eccentric and total madness. So this is just kind of to kick the night off really fun. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube if you want. So he was asked basically what Hunter S. Thompson meant to him. And he said, this is a rough cut, by the way. Spontaneity comes from an invisible idea that is there before the creation begins. Chameleon. Many colours, many thoughts, many visions, many tones, many angles, many circles goes into making the makeup of the truth inside of you to deliver your truth without any fear or doubt. The word fear stands for false evidence appearing real. The only person who's afraid is the person who thinks they're afraid, because there's really nothing to be afraid of. Fear and doubt, the word doubt, D-O-U-B-T, that stands for debating on understanding bewildering thoughts. And the person who is in doubt created it themselves. This is where it gets big. So the chameleon, the enterprise of life, is all the different things you actually are. And bringing them together in one spot, one circle, you have a target, and you're zen. And when you fire, your expression will strike the center of the target, and you will be blindfolded. It happens in the truth of the moment. The next extract is from Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon. I think I got his surname right for a change. Page 16. At last, one proper Sherlock Holmes London evening, the unmistakable smell of gas came to Pirate from a dark street lamp, and out of the fog ahead materialized a giant, organ-like form. Carefully, black-shod step by step, Pirate approached the thing. It began to slide forward to meet him, over the cobblestones slow as a snail, leaving behind some slime brightness of street weight that could not have been from fog. In the space between them was a crossover point which Pirate, being a bit faster, reached first. He reeled back in horror past the point, but such recognitions are not reversible. It was a giant adenoid, at least as big as St. Paul's and growing hour by hour. London, perhaps all England, was in mortal peril. Page 124. Don't forget the real business of the war is buying and selling. The murdering and the violence are self-policing and can be entrusted to non-professionals. The mass nature of wartime death is useful in many ways. It serves as spectacle, as diversion from the real movement of the war. It provides raw material to be recorded into history, so that children may be taught history as sequences of violence, battle after battle, and be more prepared for the adult world. Best of all, mass deaths are stimulus to just ordinary folks, little fellows, to try and grab a piece of that pie while they're still here to gobble it up. The true war is a celebration of markets. Page 19. Every day for 2.5 years, Pirate went out to visit the St. James adenoid. It nearly drove him crazy. Though he was able to develop a pigeon by which he and the adenoid could communicate. Unfortunately, he wasn't nasally equipped to make the sounds too well, and it got to be an awful chore. Final extract is from In Cold Hell in Thicket by Charles Olson, who I finally got round to immersing myself in, and it's going to make my poem look extremely bad after reading this, but it's just a couple of lines from Olson. How can he make these blood points into panels, into sides, for a king's, for his own, for a wagon, for a slave, for the beak of, the running sides of a vessel fit for moving? How can he make out, he asks, of this low eye view, size? And archings traced and picked enough to hold, to stay, as she does, as he, the brother, when, here where the mud is, he is frozen, not daring where the grass grows, to move from fear, he'll trespass on his own dissolving bones, here where there is altogether too much remembrance. That it is simple what the difference is, that a man, men, are now their own wood, and thus their own hell and paradise, that they are, in hell or in happiness, merely something to be wrought, to be shaped, to be cared for use for others.